Hi all. Uh, in my career as a faculty in the School of Medicine, it's a first year subject, the physiology, which I teach, and I've had the pleasure and privilege of teaching a number of students. They evolved further in their medical careers, and some of them, when they came back and I saw their careers flourished in various fields of health science or medicine. It was a real privilege, I thought. So one such illustrious student in my career in medical school is Dr. Arindam. I know him since his first year in the medical school, and I always knew him as a bright student. But then, when he came back after his completion of the graduation, and then whatever the further achievements that he has made, I really thought, yes, I guessed right about him even back then. So, hello, Dr. Arindam.
Hello, sir.
Um, well, I hear that you have given the PLAB and you have cracked the PLAB successfully.
Yes.
Uh, so, I would like to know. Well, I have done a video previously with one of my students,
Yes.
and this is a kind of a follow up video. So, we get a lot of questions related to the PLAB uh, from the Indian students, particularly, or any student world over. They want to know more about this PLAB thing, and therefore, let's have tete-a-tete about the PLAB and your experience, and which will guide the students further. So, tell me generally, what are you doing right now? What are your plans, and how it all started for you about the PLAB?
Yes, of course. And for those of you who do not know this, the PLAB is an exam conducted by the General Medical Council, United Kingdom, and it is basically the registration body in the UK. And PLAB basically stands for Professional and Linguistic Assessment Board, and I have successfully cleared that exam, and I'm pleased to say that I have successfully registered with the General Medical Council, which means technically speaking, I am a British doctor right
Oh,
here.
great, great! Congrats. And you're now back in India.
Yeah, I'm back in
Okay.
India now.
Right now, you are in India. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So there are lots of queries that I keep on getting from the students who want to prepare for the PLAB. Um, for instance, and to remind our viewers or the students who are watching this, I'm going to give all the information related to Dr. Arindam. For instance, you can log on to www.drarindam.com. He writes there regularly
Yes.
about his PLAB experiences, and he shares all the other material there. And at the end of this video and in the information section, we are going to mention everything that will help you further in your preparation.
Yes, of
So,
course.
Dr. Arindam, first question that I always get, particularly from the subcontinent students,
Yes.
is that what are the expenses for the PLAB? What are the fees? What are the overall expenses? Is it affordable? What has been your experience on this, or can shed some light on that?
Yes, of course. So basically, I started with PLAB. I thought about giving the PLAB exam right in final year of medical school. Also because I wanted to learn from the best of the best. And in my opinion, the UK definitely has got doctors coming from all over the world, as well as their native doctors, who are quite well and in whatever they do. And the we have basically inherited from them the British system, and our curriculum is based on their curriculum, and it's slowly whatever things that I'm seeing in India, it's going towards their curriculum. So
Okay,
it
so
just make
ours means, sorry to interrupt,
yes,
ours means the Indian
the Indian
healthcare system
healthcare system
has been adapted from
has
the
been,
UK system,
yeah,
you mean to say. Okay,
and
yeah,
it is
please go ahead.
slowly going towards that
Okay,
as well.
okay, there are lots of, there's a overhauling of the system
Yes.
recently. Yes, right. So,
And after that, after I decided that I want to give this particular exam, I started my journey with giving the IELTS exam, which is IELTS,
yes,
International English Language Testing System. Um, the General Medical Council has got a particular criteria regarding this, which we have also mentioned in the previous video. And just to give you an overview, you just need a 7.5 overall in the IELTS with 7.0 in each of the sections. There are basically four sections which basically tests you on the four domains of English. And since the UK is obviously an English speaking country, they expect you to have quite good standards as far as your linguistic assessment is concerned,
yes,
and that forms a part of the name for this exam. It is Professional and Linguistic Assessment Board.
yes,
That
that's PLAB.
that is
So,
one of the
my
things.
original question was, what about the
The
expenses?
expenses,
Is
yes,
it affordable to an average Indian medical student
yes.
or a student from the subcontinent?
So basically, coming to IELTS, it will definitely cost them around 150 pounds, which comes to around 15,000 rupees. And currently, the PLAB Part 1 examination is conducted in India. So you just need to, and even IELTS is also conducted in India. So you just need to get approximately 200 pounds.
Okay,
The GMC has also been increasing its fees quite
okay,
often.
okay.
So let's say I just mention 240 right now. Maybe in the future you will see that it has gone up to 260. So I'll just give a range at this point. It is anywhere between 200 to 300 pounds,
Okay, so you mean to
which
say
is,
it is affordable
yes,
even to an average Indian medical student?
yes,
Okay. Average, by that I meant, let's say, middle income group
yes.
student would be able to afford this exam.
Yeah, PLAB Part 1 and IELTS, they can afford it. And the
And what's for the PLAB 2?
Part 2, they would have to go to the UK, and the total expenditure at that point would be around 3,000 pounds,
This is in addition to their
in addition to the
to
Part
the
1
yes,
as well as
and
IELTS.
yes, okay,
So, roughly, we are looking at somewhere around 4,000 pounds. We are looking at, and that
okay,
would translate to around 4 lakh rupees
okay.
in India.
Is travel included in that?
Yes, everything included.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the second question that I often face from the students is that PLAB is for the students who have finished their graduation,
Yes.
who have finished their medical graduation. Is it an option after post graduation also?
Ye-
Or, I mean, is that something like that? That after MD or post graduation in medicine, PLAB is an option worth considering. Is that so?
Yes, it is true. Currently, the scenario being that most of the people who are doing post graduation in our country, they would like to better themselves, and as a result, they just turn to the UK or the US. And in that scenario, what happens is that they have to give certain Royal College examinations
Okay.
in order for them to be considered as a specialist in the UK, so that they can gain some experience. In that process, what happens is that it is they some of the candidates do find it quite difficult to give the Royal College exams,
Hmm.
and what happens as a result is that somewhere along their journey they would think that it would be better for us to give the PLAB exam and get there faster compared to the Royal College exams. And I would say, yes, I have been contacted by quite a few people who have completed their the
Post graduation. Yeah.
post
Yes.
graduation training in their specialty in India,
Okay.
and even to say that yes, they have been couple of super specialists who have
as
also
well.
contacted me for
Okay,
this.
okay, great.
So yes, it is always an option. I have seen people
After graduation, after post
after post
graduation, after
graduation, even
super
super
specialty.
specialization, it's always an
Yes,
option.
yes, okay.
And also, I have seen quite a lot of people um, in their 50s.
Huh.
I couldn't believe my eyes when I went to the UK and saw people in the 50s prepare for this exam. So it's never too late to give this particular exam, and there is no age criteria for this. So
Okay,
it can be given by anybody who is a medical graduate, obviously,
right,
and would like to go to the UK.
okay. Doctor, I just want to ask one basic question because I have been working in medical school. What is an average salary of a physician in UK? Just out of curiosity, I want to know. Or maybe our students who are wanting to
Yes,
give PLAB and go there in UK would also want to know
would
what's an
also want
average
to
salary.
know.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Um, Basically, what happens is that once you have given PLAB and gone there, the starting salary that you would get is around £30,000 a year, and
Okay,
after taxes and everything else, you would get anywhere between 2,000 to £2,500 for a junior doctor's salary over there. So, and by pounds, I am mentioning pounds, but
yeah,
in your head, you can just multiply it by 100
okay,
because the current rate is 90.
okay, that's
So
fine.
what how I do it personally is that I just multiply it by 100. So in that case, it should be quite a good range with around 2 lakhs to 2.5 lakhs Indian rupees per
Okay,
month, which should be, I would say, more than enough
okay.
for you to sustain
Okay, that
yourself,
was just
and
out of curiosity, but
yeah,
maybe even the students might want to know,
might want to know.
who want to settle down there
Yeah.
or whatever. Okay, now coming to this PLAB, I want to know how difficult is it for an international medical graduate to get into the core training or let's say super specialty training, specialty training in the branches like let's say gastroenterology. Somebody wants to go neurology or
Yes.
endocrinology.
Yes.
Once you clear the PLAB or even MRCP,
Yes.
is it difficult to get into these branches or how easy it is? What is the struggle overall for that? What's your take on that?
Um, this question has actually got to do with the medical system, how it works, how the training structure is in the UK. So basically, after PLAB, what a person needs to do once they have cleared it, they need to register themselves with the GMC.
Yes.
Uh, Initially, they would have to do a non-training job, wherein
Non-training job. Okay.
non-training job,
Yes. Huh.
yes, because they would not put you into training
Okay.
because there are certain criteria which they need to fulfill, like doing some research, they need to do some audits, which is also one of the things that is quite often done over there by junior doctors. They need to also do some quality improvement projects, and mostly after doing all this in the non-training job, uh, what they are basically doing is basically trying to enhance their CV quite a bit and then apply to any specialty that they want,
Enhance the CV quite a bit
and then
then
apply
apply.
to their training.
Okay. Okay.
And
And how is it that they enhance their CV? What are the, I mean, what all things are needed there? I mean,
um,
is it some kind of a research, academics? What do they?
basically, what they need to do is that their whole experience would be considered.
Experience
Yes,
at maybe teaching or
at
clinical
teaching,
practice,
clinical
all of
practice,
it.
the
Okay, okay,
their whole experience, as
would
well
be
as
considered.
any research that they have done or any audits that they have done.
Okay,
Also, some quality improvement projects that they have done previously, either in their country or in the UK, which is
okay,
basically what you are trying to do in the non-training job.
okay.
You're
So
trying to
please
do all
mark
these
this.
things.
Please mark this. I mean, this is interesting. Even if you are doing a training, I mean, a tutor's post somewhere, it's going to
It is
enhance
going
your
to enhance your
CV. Yes,
CV because
yes,
it shows that you have um, both the knowledge of teaching, because they do expect you to teach their
yes,
medical students, because
yes,
as a junior doctor, you it's a part of your job description over there, so they would expect you to naturally teach their medical students as well.
yes, yes.
So
True.
it definitely looks good on your CV that you are you have done some teaching as
Teaching
well as
post
your clinical
after your graduation,
thing.
maybe.
Yes.
Yes, right. Doctor, can the PLAB given in India? Can you give PLAB in India? Or
Um, Currently, you can take two things in India, which is the IELTS exam, which can be taken in India. The PLAB Part 1 is taken, can be taken in India. It
IELTS can be
IELTS
given
can be given in India.
in India? Okay.
Yes, and the centers are present mostly all over India.
Okay.
And second thing is the PLAB Part 1 can be
Okay.
given in India,
Okay.
and
So you can find your nearest city, and if it's a center, you can very well
you can
give the exam there.
definitely
Okay.
attempt the exam there. And
IELTS and PLAB 1. Yes.
PLAB
Okay.
Part 1
Part 1. Yes.
can be given in India.
Okay.
In it, just to mention over here that PLAB Part 1 occurs 4 times in a year.
4 times in a
Four
year.
times in a year.
Okay.
And in India, historically, it used to happen 2 times a year, which was in March and November.
Okay.
But they have tried to open the June as well as September
Hmm.
as well. They've
Okay.
tried to
They
open it
have
in June.
started
They have tried to. They are trying to implement at this
trying to
point. They are
implement.
trying
Okay.
to
Fine.
implement.
Fine. Okay.
So the latest guidelines you can get in GMC -uk.org website. You will get the information there. But as far as my knowledge is concerned, they have tried to uh, implement any of these two mid-year exams, because March as well as November, they are quite at extremes of the year. So
Okay.
a mid-year exam also they have tried to
They're planning.
introduce.
Yeah. Okay.
So at least you can expect to give PLAB Part 1 uh, 3 times a year in India. And another thing is that PLAB Part 2, for that you have to go to the UK.
You have to go to the
You
UK.
have to
Yes.
go to the
Okay. Okay.
UK.
So you can take IELTS in and PLAB
PLAB
Part
Part
1
1
in
in
India,
India.
but PLAB Part
PLAB Part
2
2 needs
you
to
have
be
to go to the
taken
UK. Yes.
in the
Okay.
UK.
What are the books to be studied? I mean, would you recommend any specific books for the PLAB study, or particularly PLAB 1, Part 1?
Yes, there are certain books as well as question banks which we can try to follow. Uh, it has got to do with your basic knowledge as well. So the better that you have studied throughout your medical school, that would also try to play a role in the whole exam, because the nature of this exam is that they are trying to assess your practical skills. They're trying to assess the kind of knowledge that you have got and overall knowledge, and it's mostly based on the clinical subjects which you would use in day-to-day practice.
Okay.
And for this you need to follow most of the UK books. For medicine, I would say that you have got an excellent book which is Oxford Handbook of Clinical Medicine. In addition to that, you can also use Oxford Handbook of Clinical Specialties, which
Okay.
will give you an in-depth idea about the UK system and the kind of practice of medicine that they follow,
They follow.
the
Okay. Yes.
guidelines as well. So you should be able to get a good idea on
Okay.
on PLAB Part 1 with these two
Right.
main books. And I also suggest some of the other resources which I have mentioned on my website as well.
Okay.
Um,
That's www.drarindam.com.
yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So I have mentioned, I have given most
Yes.
of the guidance. You are free
Yes.
to basically go to my website and see how I have prepared so
And you
far.
will be providing us with the email ID if somebody wants to contact you
Yes,
on
of
email.
course. It is
Yeah,
also up
everything will be mentioned at the end of
at
this
the end of
video.
this
Yes,
video.
okay,
Yes.
okay, fine, fine. Um, Now, another question is that where will I be starting my core training, or will I start with my core training or foundation training once I am into this PLAB structure,
Yep.
and how much salary do I expect, and all the related things. So
Yeah.
uh, what can you shed light on that?
So just to give you a brief idea on the medical system, how it is. Basically, most of the UK graduates, they get into medical school right after they have cleared their A levels. By A levels, I mean that they have cleared their high school, which is 12th standard.
Hmm.
Uh, at this point, they would apply to medical school, and after they have graduated, which is 5 years, they need to apply into something known as foundation year training.
Okay.
Now, this foundation year training is is a training that all the graduate doctors need to undertake. It is like an internship,
Okay.
and it is for 2 years, foundation year 1 and foundation year 2.
Two. Yes.
And after this foundation year, they would be applying to whichever specialty that they're interested in, like internal medicine, general surgery, ophthalmology, ENT, or
Right.
any of these
Yes.
specialties that they
Yes.
want to get into.
Yes.
Now, the question here arises, as international medical graduates after clearing PLAB,
Hmm.
where exactly do we fall in the category? Are we a medical student or are we foundation year?
Yes, that was my original question
Yes.
actually. Yes.
So
Yes.
in that case, your foundation year 1 is already completed in India,
Yes.
which is
Okay.
your internship. You
Internship,
have
yes.
completed your internship and you have received your degree in India.
Hmm.
So what happens is that the GMC recognizes that at as your foundation year 1 training. And also what happens is that at this point, they would be setting your PLAB Part 2 exam
Okay.
at the level of foundation year 2.
Yes.
Foundation year
Okay.
2.
Yes.
So you are expected to have a knowledge of someone who has completed their internship. That's what the
Okay.
GMC wants.
Okay.
So most likely after clearing PLAB, you would get into a foundation year 2 uh, job in the UK. And what you can also expect is that if you have had, let's say, some years of experience after your internship, you can also negotiate your position, and depending on how good your clinical judgment is and everything else, you can also start at core training level.
Core training level.
Core training
Okay.
level.
Okay.
Uh, Also known as internal medicine training level.
Okay.
But mind you that it is not the training job that you start with. It is a non-training job that you start with.
Non-training job. Okay.
But
Fine.
at
You
that
start
level,
with
there are
non-training job
non-training
and
job.
then you proceed to the core
Yeah.
training. Okay.
Basically, this question arises that whenever after PLAB Part 2 they start applying to different jobs
Hmm.
for non-training, so they are confused a bit on which kind of job they should apply to.
Apply for the non-training type.
Yes.
Okay.
So what happens in the UK is that all these non-training jobs run parallelly with the training jobs.
Okay.
So you're basically doing the same job as a trainee FY2 would do
Hmm.
in your non-training job
Okay.
as well.
Yes.
So it is running a bit parallel to that one. But it is all dependent on the kind of competencies that you have got, the kind of knowledge and experience that you have got, and but the main thing is that you need to start with a non-training job, build up your CV,
Build up the CV and
yes,
then
and
yes,
then apply towards the training.
towards the training. Core training, that is?
That is, core training has now been renamed into internal medicine training for internal medicine.
Okay.
There are some specialties which give you throughout training.
Okay.
It's known as run-through training, which means if you get into something like radiology, there's no core training there. There's just radiology training. So you go throughout. Once you get
Yes.
in, you come out as a consultant.
It's a run-through type.
Yeah, it
Okay,
is
fine,
run-through
fine.
type.
And can we come back to India after completion of that training?
Yes, that is always an option, because once you get into training in the UK, which is internal medicine training, and after that higher specialty training, one of the concepts I need to mention here is that the training in the UK is quite long. So once you go there, you would be investing somewhere around 6 to 7 years of your life.
6 to 7
6
years.
to 7 years.
Okay.
So once you have got into training, it takes quite a long time.
Okay.
Now, internal medicine training itself is 3 years,
Hmm.
and after that there is the super specialty training.
Okay.
And what they tend to do is that if you want to become a consultant in the UK, you have to complete your higher specialty training.
Okay.
So after which you receive something known as the certificate of completion of training. Doesn't matter which specialty it is, everybody would get it in order for you to be a consultant. Now, once you have received that one, and you have got all the Royal College qualifications and everything that comes with it, yes, it is an option for you to come back to India or to go back to any of the countries that you are from, provided your medical council recognizes that particular qualification, which is the CCT, and which is known as Certificate of Completion of Training. Now, recently, as far as India is concerned, the Medical Council of India, and I hope in the future that National Medical Commission
NMC.
NMC is going to definitely recognize all the qualifications of the United Kingdom, because they had done an amendment in 2017 where they included it.
Great news. That's a great
So
news.
that's,
Yes.
you
yes.
can definitely have an option to come
Yes.
back to India.
Okay.
That's
okay.
always an option.
Okay. Okay. Doctor, I just want to know how is it to be a doctor in UK? How is the life like for a doctor in UK? I mean, I have of course in mind the life of a doctor in India or in the subcontinent.
Yes.
Now I want to know, somebody wants to settle there. What's the life like for a doctor? I'm saying not as a citizen but as a doctor.
But as a doctor,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. How?
So basically, what happens is that after you clear your PLAB or MRCP, you are basically a junior doctor,
Okay.
and based on that, and even throughout your training, what will happen is that you will be expected to work quite a bit. Now, the total amount of work that you need to do in a week is 48 hours, which is true in our country as well. But doesn't matter whether you're a training job or a non-training job, uh, they would not expect you to do on calls which would last around 26 to 36 hours, sometimes 24 to 36 hours, which quite often happens in our country,
In our country, in
unfortunately.
India, yes.
But the on call in the UK is a maximum of around 12 hours.
Okay.
But there are certain specialties which would require you to do a 24-hour call, but they are mainly got to do with emergency
Emergency
medicine,
medicine, yes,
which
of
is
course.
which is quite
Yes.
demanding.
Yes.
But most of the other jobs, you
Yes.
should be capped at a maximum of 12 hours.
Okay.
But it all depends on the kind of rotation that you're going through, the kind of subspecialty that you're going through, and the demand of that specialty. But most likely, you will not exceed the 48 hours, or
At a stretch.
at a stretch
On
a week.
Okay,
On a week. You should
okay.
not be exceeding that. But what they try to do is they try to club that with a couple of other weeks. So you could be quite busy in 1 week, but you're
And you-
relatively free in other
and the
weeks
other
as well.
weeks, yes.
So they try to adjust it, but it is quite true that compared to the life that you will get in India, and compare that to the UK, in the UK you have got quite a lot of free time.
Okay.
And this occurs at every level, whether you're a junior doctor or whether you're in training or whether you're a consultant. And most of the UK consultants, they'll tell you that we have got more time to spend with our family and to basically enjoy life
Okay.
more compared to our consultants here,
Okay.
because they are,
Yeah.
I've seen them to be quite busy.
Yes,
And
yes.
they are quite busy.
And would you like to say something about the medical system in UK as overall the healthcare system?
Healthcare system, yes.
What are your observations about that?
In the UK, they have a system which is known as the National Health Service,
NHS?
NHS.
Yes.
And that is basically is that the government, the United Kingdom government, is taking care of the health care of its citizens, and also all other people who are resident in the UK, including when you go to the UK as a junior doctor, you are on a visa, but you will be taken care of by the NHS, and the government will make sure that you are taken care of.
Okay.
And what happens is that there, the health system, it's quite shocking, it is free.
Oh, can the healthcare system be free? Completely free?
Yes, it is free.
Oh, okay.
Which means, let's say.
I mean, I don't have to shell out lakhs of rupees
No.
just the way it's in India.
It's in India. No, it's
Okay.
not like that.
Mhm.
What happens is that as a citizen of the UK or anybody else who is resident in the UK, including you, what will happen is that your healthcare will be taken care of by the government, and it is completely free, which means during your admission nobody will come to you and ask for money. It is not right. And most of the UK, it is the NHS, although there are some private hospitals, but they are quite few in number. But
Okay.
it's mainly the NHS,
NHS,
which
yes.
is completely free at the point of care, and you won't be expected to pay.
To pay from
To
your
pay.
pocket.
Unless
Yes.
you're on a visitor visa,
Okay.
but if you're resident, like if you're working there or if you've been there long term, you would not be expected to pay
Pay anything. Yes.
anything at all.
Okay. Okay.
And the funny thing is, while I was visiting the UK in some places, and I think I saw a documentary about this as well, is that let's say there's a hospital right there, and you had some illness and you were taken to a hospital, or you wanted to go to a hospital which is quite far, maybe 4 or 5 miles. I'm just giving an example here. So you took a taxi, you went to the hospital, you got seen by the specialist, and what you can do if is that there is a cashier
Okay.
inside the hospital.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So you would expect that, okay, the money in a cashier is going in, which means you would expect for you to pay
To pay. Yes.
to pay
yes,
something.
Yes.
That's basically
Understood,
how
yes.
it works
Hmm,
here.
hmm,
But you'll be surprised to know that cashier there is sitting
hmm.
to give you money.
What? Okay. Fine.
Yes. So
That's a
they are there
surprise.
to give you money.
Okay.
And basically it is for the reimbursement of your
Yes.
taxi
Yes. Right.
taxi and
Okay,
everything.
okay.
So the money is
Sounds
coming
great.
out,
It sounds great.
not
Okay.
going in.
Okay. Overall, it's a great talking to you, Dr. Arindam. It's a privilege. Dr. Arindam, I knew him as Arindam first because he's the first year of the medical school. The bright kid who has just now taken the admission, and now he has evolved into a fine doctor, and he's been to UK. How many times you have been to UK?
I think I've been there 2 to 3 times.
Okay,
Just to
okay,
visit.
and cracked the
Cracked
PLAB,
the PLAB
which is
exam.
an achievement, and therefore, uh, viewers, I would like to say this was a follow-up video for the preparation of PLAB and the life thereafter once you clear the PLAB. Dr. Arindam is here in India right now. I've already mentioned about www.drarindam.com.
Yeah.
He writes regularly, so you can log on to that. We will provide his email ID, and you can shoot all your queries related to this subject, and Dr. Arindam will be more than happy to reply back to them.
Yes, of
It's a
course.
pleasure, Dr.
Yes.
Arindam.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you.